Welcome back everyone, this is LC and today I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the upcoming July 2019 Yu-Gi-Oh! Ban list. In this video I'm going to be talking about what I think should get banned, what I think should come back off the ban list, what should be hit. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's start off with what I think should get banned. As far as what should get banned, I only have 5 cards. Now the first card I think should get banned is Sky Striker Mecha Widow Anchor. Widow Anchor is an insane card. Some people are calling for like engage or multi-roll, just flat out kill the deck. But I don't think they should do that. Sky Strikers is a very powerful deck. That is true. But it cannot OTK. Unless they use like a Boral Sword or something. This deck is built to blow you down and just negate. So, and compared to a lot of the decks that can just kill you in one turn, I'd much rather be going against Sky Strikers than something like that. But without a doubt, Widow Anchor is probably one of the most annoying cards in that deck, considering it literally allows you to steal one of your opponent's monsters. And so that's why I think Widow Anchor should be just flat out banned. I don't think it should be allowed anymore. And that's really the only hit that Sky Strikers, I'd say, really needs right now. What other else decks are meta? I already talked about Sky Strikers, but there's still 3 more. Let's talk about Danger Orcus. And there is a card in there that can be banned. It has to go. And that is the Phantom Knight of Rusty Bandiche, however that's pronounced. Yeah. I was debating on whether to ban this card or Fogblade, considering this card allows you to search Fogblade, which is an annoying card, not just Fogblade, but any Phantom Knight spell or trap. Not to mention you can destroy your opponent's cards. It's just a really unhealthy card. And if you're going to hit the Orcus anywhere, I don't think you should hit like Mermaid or Girangisu. Phantom Knights are probably one of the biggest problems and one of the reasons why that deck is doing so well, because it's able to get those disruptions so easily, and the Link monsters are easy to get onto the field. Especially a Link 3 that only requires 2 dark monsters. That's very easy to get onto the field. And so that's why I think that the Phantom Knight Link monster should just get banned. Next I have Danger Nessie. I hate the Dangers. I don't think we should have ever had them, and I don't think they should be in the game any longer. And I'd say Nessie is probably the biggest one of that, considering it allows you to add a danger card from your hand. So the other ones that allow you to special it, but its main effect is to discard and to draw 1. That's the most broken thing about it, not the specialing from the deck. People complain about stuff like Pot of Greed, Upstart, and One Day of Peace, and yet we have these dangers. And I think it's time for them to go. And as far as being banned, I think Danger's Nessie is the only one that really needs to be banned. Next I have Chaos Dragon Levianeer. This card sees plays and Danger Thunder Dragon. It's a very powerful card, considering getting it to the field is very easy. It requires you to banish like 3 light and or dark monsters, which is most of what that deck is, considering you do a lot of discarding. Like you discard Thunder Dragon to add 2, you got maybe Thunder Dragon Matrix, the Dangers, and not to mention depending on what you banish, you get effects. It's just a really insane card that I don't think should be in the game any longer. And so yeah, I think this card should be just banned. Now for my 5th and final ban card, I have Wave Motion Cannon. Considering you send this card to your grave to inflict damage equal to how many standby phases spent up on the field is very powerful. It's one of the biggest burn cards in the Mystic Mind burn. I know that's not seeing a lot of competitive play, but it's still a degenerate card nonetheless. But I don't think Mystic Mind is a card to hit. It sees plays in other strategies, like thanks to Mystic Mind you can actually play Exodia. Considering Exodia takes a long time to actually get all the pieces, but thanks to Mystic Mind, it kind of forces the game to slow down. Not to mention, it's not that hard to get rid of Mystic Mine. You got Twin Twisters, MST, Cosmic Cyclone, and there are decks that have built-in spell and trap removal like True Draco, which is why it hasn't seen a lot of meta play, but it's still a degenerate card and you gotta hit it somewhere. So I figured, why not hit it with its biggest burn card? That way you can still use Mystic Mine in other strategies, but just kill the Mystic Mine burn strategy. Now moving on to the limited section. So there's 6 cards that I think should get limited, and 4 that I think can come from being banned to limited. First up, I have Phantom Knight's Fogblade. This card is an insane trap, considering it just stops your opponent. Phantom Knight Fogblade literally negates your opponent's monster and they can't even attack. While it is true that other people cannot target it for attack, so it's essentially just sitting there, it's still a very powerful card. I don't think it's enough to warrant being banned, considering if you banned the Phantom Knight's Link, then it's harder to search this card. So it can just be limited and that would be perfectly fine. Now there is one meta deck that I haven't quite talked about yet, and that is Salamangreats. As far as where to hit the Salamangreats, it's pretty obvious by hitting Gazelle to 1. Gazelle is the core of this deck and it allows you to send Salamangreat card from your deck to grave. It's a very powerful. You can send Fusion of Fire, you can send Roar, you can send Spinny. Gazelle is the main reason that Salamangreats are just so consistent. Like, I don't think this deck needs to be just killed just yet, but I think limiting Gazelle to 1 will kind of hit the consistency quite a bit. It won't kill it, but it will reduce its consistency. Next, I have 2 cards. Danger Jackalope and Danger Tsuchinoko. As I said before, the Dangers are just too powerful. I don't think we should have them at all. Like the weaker Dangers like Mothman and Dogman, those ones are fine. Like, they're good cards, but they're not as powerful as the 3 main ones. And I think both these need to be limited to 1. Like, ban Nessie, but hit the other 2 to 1. I think that'll just flat out kill the Danger Engine. It'll probably still see some play, but it's definitely a hit. At number 5, I have a card that I've been wanting to get limited or either banned for a long time because it's just a really annoying card, and that is Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. I don't think I really need to say what this card does. Pretty much anyone who plays Yu-Gi-Oh! Knows what this card does because it's seen play everywhere. It's a very powerful card. It disrupts your opponent. And for some decks, they just can't handle being hand trapped. Like, let's say the Guard Dragons. Let's say they bring out LP and then you Ash LP. They're essentially just stuck. And a lot of non-meta decks are like that. So, like, while it does hurt decks that are meta, it's even more fatal to non-meta decks, which is why I think it should be hit. Personally, I'd rather it being banned, but considering it's getting a reprint in Dual Devastator, I don't think any of those 5 are going to be hit or be banned. But I think Ash Blossoms should still be limited to 1. Now, the last card I want to be limited is a pretty obvious one, and that is Saryuja's Scoldred. Considering Saryuja is not a once per turn, and you can use it as much as you want, it's very abusable. Not to mention, it's got a very good effect, which, let's say you brick it, you just fix that hand so easily. But the main problem of Saryuja is not its effect, but the fact that it's not a once per turn. But by limiting it to 1, it kind of more or less makes it a once per turn, which I think is fine, considering it's also getting a reprint. So I don't think it's going to get banned either, considering banning a card that's going to get reprinted doesn't make any sense. Now let's talk about the 4 cards I think could come off the ban. Now the next card I think I could come off the ban list to 1 is one that a lot of people may not agree with, and that is Makiura the Destructor. Yeah, I just said Makiura the Destructor. That card that allows you to activate traps from the hand, kind of like Paleozoic Okabina. Yeah, it's a very powerful card. But again, Traps haven't really seen a lot of play except like maybe Phantom Knights or the Solemn cards because they're slow, and I think this could really help boost that, and maybe traps can make more of a resurgence. Not to mention, the one thing about YUGIOH, it's not searchable. If you draw it, that's awesome. But if it's only at 1, and you're running like a 40 deck card, you have like a 1 in 39 chance of drawing it. Not to mention, it has to be sent to the graveyard in order to activate it. So it could probably cost you a normal summon unless you have something that allows you to discard it. But I think it's, while it is a powerful card, I think it can come back to 1. And let's say even if it does become a problem, it can just be banned right back. But I think this one they can test the waters with. The next card I think I can come back from being banned is Substitute. Yes, it's a really good card considering you can tribute one monster to special summon a frog from your deck. The main problem with Substitute is that it's not once per turn. Like, hopefully it can get like maybe an errata in the future, maybe make it a hard once per turn, and that could probably bring it back to 3. But I think right now it can come back to 1, maybe give the Frog Paleozoic deck a little boost. Now the last card that I think can come back from being banned is Premature Burial. It's not a good card, considering it's essentially like Monster Reborn, but a lot weaker, considering it's an equipment. If it gets destroyed, destroy the monster you special summoned. Like, if we have Monster Reborn back, why can't we have this back? Like, you could probably bring this back to 3 and it wouldn't see, it sees some play for the fact that it can special summon a monster from grave. And it has to be your grave, unlike Monster Reborn. And if Monster Reborn is not seeing any sort of competitive play, I don't think this card's going to see anymore. If anything, it can boost some rogue decks or maybe only see play in casual play. Now that's it for the cards that I think can be limited. Now let's move on to the semi-limited. Now for the first one, I have a card going from 1 to 2. And that is Deep Sea Diva. Considering it only works with sea serpents, and do you know of any sea serpents that are meta? I kind of think of it, I don't even know any sea serpent decks. So that just shows how very little they see play, which is why this card can come back to 2 and probably even further, if I'm being honest. It'll give a boost to those Sea Serpent decks, whatever they are, because I literally know none. Now, the last card I have gone to 2 was actually at 2, maybe like 4 Banlist back or something. Then they brought it back, but I think it should stick at 2. And that is Called by the Grave. This card is really annoying. Sure, it's good against hand traps, but that's not only what it's good against. Like, let's say you're running a Red Eyes Guard Dragon deck or any sort of Guard Dragon deck, and you get Red Eyes Dark Spell Dragon, and then they just call it. That just kills the deck. Like, it's a very powerful card, and I'd rather have this card limited to 1. With all the hand traps that are running about, I think having this card at 2 is much more better to at least combat them. Plus, there are other cards that work against hand traps like Chain Hole. Now, I have 2 more cards going from being limited to 2. One of those is Dark Hole. This card, it's a board wipe, but those aren't really prevalent currently. Like, you got Raigeki, but you don't see anyone playing Raigeki. Not to mention, considering Dark Hole also hurts herself, I think this card can come back. Like, I haven't seen this card played in a long time. Which makes me kind of wonder, why is it at 1? And that's not the only card that's at 1 and that's seeing no play, which I think can come back even further, and that is Monster Reborn. Hey, they brought back Super Poly, why not Monster Reborn? Considering Monster Reborn was seeing even less play than Super Poly, back when Super Poly was at 1. Monster Reborn, it doesn't really see play in Salamangreats or any of the other meta decks. Like, it only really sees play in, like, those casual decks. I come to think of it, at the locals I go to, whenever I've gone against any deck that's like meta or rogue, I haven't seen Monster Reborn one bit. So I think this card can kind of start making its way further off the ban list. That's why I think bring it to 2, maybe just to test the waters, see if it becomes a problem or not. And if not, just bring it back to 3. If anything, it'll boost those casual decks or rogue decks, like say Red Eyes Guard Dragon, for example. Considering hand traps really hurt it, and not to mention it literally can't do much on the first turn because it has Red Eye Spirit. Red Eye Spirit is a trap, so it can't be activated right away, so you're kind of limited. And Monster Reborn can kind of help that. Now, like I said, again, if this ends up becoming a problem, they can just be put back to 1. Now let's talk about the unlimited cards, the cards that are going completely off the ban list. And I actually have 8 cards. Now the first one I have is Insector Dragonfly. Yes, it's a strong card. Yes, it's not a once per turn, but it's just not going to be as powerful as it used to be, considering I actually built an Insector deck when Hornet came back. Because it was a deck that I was wanting to build, but both Dragonfly and Hornet were limited to 1. I say to say, even if Dragonfly comes back, it might see some play, but not much. Because the deck's just not consistent. Like, if you don't have Insector, Dragonfly, and a Hornet, or a Hornet and a Centipede, you literally can't do anything. That's why I run like card destruction, hand destruction, kaijus, a bunch of stuff to kind of like help that. But even then, just I don't really see it working too much. Like me say, some rogue play, a new strategy might be found for it, but I think it could come back to 3. Next, I have actually another classic, and that is Morphing Jar. Morphing Jar is at 1 end. How much play is it seeing? None. Considering it is a slow card, it's a flip effect, which flip effects are kind of slow. Like, if anything, it'll probably boost slow decks, or another deck that comes to mind is Crawlers, because I have a Crawler deck and I run Morphing Jar in it, which is a really good card for Crawlers. And since it's not seeing any play at 1, I think it can fully come back. Even then, it's probably not going to see any meta play. Next is Genix Alley Birdman. This card isn't even that great. It hurts your opponent none whatsoever, and doesn't really help you out that much either. Considering all it allows you to do is return one face-up monster you control to the hand to special summon it. But that's not a quick effect. It's seeing no play in any machine decks. I even tried it out with Despots. Even then, it was a terrible card. I don't know why it's limited to 1. I think it can fully come back to ban list. Even then, I probably still won't see any play. Now, the next card I have going back to 3 is Terraforming. This card can fully come back, considering all of the meta decks can search their field spell within their own cards. Don't need an outside card like Terraforming to search it. Like, it's at 2, but even still, it's not seeing any competitive play whatsoever. You might see it from time to time, but that's not enough to really have it on the ban list. So I think it could come back to 3 instead of 2. It'll probably boost some of those weaker decks. Next, I have Quillfort Scout. It's a normal monster. It's a normal pendulum monster, and it'd only see any sort of use in Quill decks. So I think this card can fully come back during, like, you wouldn't even use it as a monster, like, to rank 9, so that may see some sort of use. But yeah, we have stuff like Infinity and Zero, which would probably see way more use over Scout. So I think you can fully come back from the ban list. Now next I have Book of Moon. You want to know how much competitive play this card's seeing? None. Sure, it's a good card and it can disrupt your opponents, but there are way more disruptive cards out there at 3. Considering, like, you can't Book of Moon Link monsters. So let's say you're going against Sky Strikers. Book of Moon is not going to help you one bit. It helps flip decks, but there aren't any meta flip decks except maybe Guru Control. So I think this card can make a full return from the ban list. Next, I have Necros of Unicorn. I think Necros can make a complete return from the ban list. Like, sure, already came back to 1. I think we can bring Unicorn back to 3. Considering Necros got Repent and Dual Power, and made the deck really cheap versus really expensive like it used to be, I think Necros can make a full return from the ban list, considering Rituals aren't really seeing any sort of meta play. Even with Sure back to 1, it's still not seeing any meta play. So maybe bringing Necros and Unicorn back to 3 could help boost Necros. I don't know how much meta play they'd say even if the Unicorn comes back. But I really think it's a deck that can come back. It's had its time on the ban list, it can come back. However, that's not the only deck that's had its time on the ban list that can make a complete return. Like, there were 3 decks that have been adamant about making a complete return from the ban list. That was Insectors, Necros, and last but not least, Shaddolls. And I think it's time El Shaddol Construct comes back to 3. We already got back to 1, so it's already making its way off. But I think it'll make its way off further. Considering there was a poll to see what sort of deck would get like a structure deck or something. And Shaddolls won. So it shows just how light Shaddolls are. Shaddolls are a fan favorite deck, so I think bringing it back to 3 to help, not considering it's not really a meta deck, so it can come back to 3, but not to mention it might even get more people in the game. So I think from a business and meta perspective, Shaddolls can come back completely from the ban list. Alright, so that was my July 2019 ban list prediction. Watch none of it be accurate. Watch I'd be completely wrong except for maybe like Sarija, Gazelle. But who knows? Maybe I'm hoping to at least get 5 cards right. I'm hoping at least Insectors, Necros, and Shaddolls make a complete return, as well as Substitute coming back. And definitely get rid of the Dangers. That's probably what I want most out of everything. So that's all for this video. What do you think? Did you agree with my list? Did you disagree? Did you think me thinking Machiura coming back to 1 was stupid? Or did you agree with that Shaddolls can come back 100%? Leave a comment on what card you think should be banned or come back from the ban list. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.